Hello and welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. As always, 6 albums to go through, so I'm going to go through them. First, we have Guided by Voices with their 41st. This band has put out 41 albums. That's almost as many albums as they've been a band titled Universe Room. So I'm going to give this a B+. I thought this was pretty good indie rock stuff. I've only listened to one other album before this, which I think was an album that I reviewed of them last year. I was able to do a proper review. It wasn't one of my catch-ups. Giving this one a B+, though. I did quite like the instrumentation of it. Solid indie rock stuff. The lyrics are the usual sort of silly things, and the band has never really taken that part of themselves seriously. But they also just work so well together, and they're so effortlessly charming as well. Travis Harrison, who's produced pretty much all the band stuff, does a really good job on the mix, and yeah, I think the riffs are pretty fun. I like that they stick to a really good indie vibe. I like that they sort of experiment with it on occasion. Again, not outside of the realm of what they usually do, to my knowledge, but just really good work from this band. Good indie riffs, fun writing, bit of a sense of reverence, and yeah, good cohesion too. Quite enjoyed it. Next up, we have Killswitch Engage and their ninth offering, This Consequence. So, pretty much everyone knows Killswitch Engage. They are one of the most well-known metalcore bands possibly of all time. This is their first album in about 6 years. I'm giving this one a B+. Okay, that is the grade I gave it. I'm just making sure. Yeah, I'm giving this one a B+. I think it's really good metalcore. As the band usually does. I think Jesse Leach is really good on the vocals. I will admit, and I will concede, that Howard is better as a vocalist. But I feel like Jesse, to this day, still does not get his flowers, and he can still really belt it when he wants to, He's still a really good singer, and he still brings a lot to the band, I think. I do like the lyrical themes revolving around corruption and, sort of fittingly, the concept of consequence and just, taking responsibility for things like that. I think the band work as well together as they ever have, and Adam D is still an amazing producer, and he always kind of has been. It's just what he's really good at, as well as just being a really good guitarist. I wish there were more solos on this album. Might complain I have it. I wish there were more solos. I do like that there's sort of a heavier vibe, but I feel like it could have been measured out a bit more, and my main issue is sort of with the pacing. I don't feel like they went in as heavy as they should have in some areas, But production's pretty good, bands still work well together, and yeah, overall solid stuff, still really good riffs too, as heavy as you would expect from a Killswitch album. I just kind of feel like it could have been condensed a bit more into an EP or expanded more into a full album. This feels like, at just over 35 minutes, it sort of can justify its length, but it doesn't feel like it always does that. It's good pacing, but it feels like there could have been something more done with it. I don't know. Next up, we have a band named Sarcom and their new album, Exceed into Chaos. So, despite the new metal as fuck sounding name, and you're probably reading the album title on the cover itself, this is a black metal band from Norway, and I'm giving this one a B. I like the instrumentation a lot because it is so chaotic and fun, and I feel like that leans quite a bit into the pacing, although it does make it sort of feel like it can get a bit predictable, and sometimes the songs are ever a bit quick, probably. Lyrics are pretty dark as well, the usual fun black metal stuff about anti-religion and religious hypocrisy and death. All fun, all happy, all positive vibes. My knuckles did crack slightly there. Fuck it. Band members all work really well though. The lead vocalist absolutely kills it. And, yeah, pacing is okay. Production's pretty decent, all things considered as well. It is pretty clean, but it doesn't overbear on the rest of the sound, and I really think that can help guide it along quite nicely. Maybe a little bit more of it could have been more, sort of raw feeling, but I don't hate it for what it is, and all in all, if you just want a classically heavy and dark and occasionally slightly fucked up slice of black metal stuff, I mean, this album has some depictions of nasty suicide on the cover. Then I can recommend this if you're feeling particularly sad. It's good if you feel angry and sad. Next, we have a band who I thought was debuting, but it turns out that this is their third album in their first in 5 years. This is a band named This Is Wreckage. As in, their name is This Is Wreckage. I'm not calling the band Wreckage. The band's name is This Is Wreckage. And this is their new album titled Transaction Service. Sort of a alt-rocky, noise, punky sort of mix. And giving this one an A. I thought this had some really interesting stuff going for it. In particular, I wanted to read out the album's concept because it does have one. And as I write here in my review on Discord, the main theme is the darkness of humanity, but the album's story is, and I quote, a businessman who dresses like a fairy at a club in an underground meatpacking district. It is so weird, and it's such a weird-off story, but it's original and I kind of love it. The band will absolutely go in as well. I actually sort of like the more sort of sleaze and sludgy vibes that the riffs provide too. The guitar work is proper good on this. It's proper bloody good. And again, I really like the lyrical themes, sort of with a slight edge of hope, but there's like more of a tongue-in-cheek nature, a bit pissed at jeansy, I would describe it as, you know, with less of the hardcore edge, but still sort of feels like it's there with the sludgy and sleaze elements. Band worked really well together too. I think the production's quite nice and clean, and I think it might have been self-produced. I think the album I covered before this was self-produced. I couldn't find anything for producers for either of them. And really good pacing as well. It does sort of start to peter out near the end, though. It just ends on a weird note for me, but heh. But all in all, still really enjoyable and a whole bunch of fun. Next we have not a band, a solo artist named Unrequited, and his new album, A Pathway to the Moon. So, Unrequited is the project of a Canadian musician named William Millsness, who goes by the, well, I don't know the Japanese word for it, but the kanji translates to ghost or spirit. I'm getting this one to B+, mostly for the reason, right, that since I heard Traverse the Be Like by Shale, I don't know what it is, but I've been drawn to more nomadic and weird metal albums. I mean, I even covered one last week with Seo's new album as well. I thought this was pretty solid though, and hence my B+ grade for it. I feel like the lyrics were not entirely fully there. There is a spacey cosmic theme, but there can be a bit too much dead air between the words, which is weird because it's emotive and poetic when it wants to be. And I will give William all the credit in the world for just going all in. He does actually self-produce it as well. And this is his 7th album. I legit thought it was his first, but it's his 7th. And he's only 30. I think he just turned 30 last month. It's kind of an insane output. I do like the riffs plenty. I do feel like they can sort of take a backseat at times, but I actually quite like the keyboard element, assuming that's what I'm hearing for the most part. Production's quite clean as well, and yeah, the pacing is solid. It can rely a little bit too much on its ambient elements for my liking, and the last 2 songs don't even have lyrics, which is odd, but for how it is, you know, and for a project like this, again, considering the dude's only 30, really enjoyable. And finally, we have Venturing with their new album Ghost Holding. Now, even though I do use the word there, this is also a one-person project. They go by non-binary pronouns. And technically, this is their 7th album, right? This is a musician named Jane Remover, who has done a lot of other side projects under both their name and another band name. But this is their first album under the name of Venturing, so I'm technically counting it as my obligatory debut. I'm allowed to cheat a little bit. I am, however, giving it only a C+. Oh man, I don't know what really fell apart for it. I do think Jane's performance inherently is quite good, and I like the lyrical themes for the most part, focusing on themes of fame and mental health and sexuality, but it can feel a bit repetitive in some spots, and the production on this thing is not great, and it was handled by Jane. It was handled by them, and there is so much echo and double tracking, and it feels like it's just trying to cover up their vocals. Why? They're a good singer. Why are they having it sounds schizophrenic in the most bland way with the production, with the mixing choices made, and I don't fully like it. And I feel like in terms of even pacing, it can crawl a bit up its own arse. It does feel like it gets a little bit too lost and a little bit too self-indulgent for my liking. I don't know. I mean, again, the performance is really good. Riffs are perfectly fine, I guess. You know, this is an indie rock sort of emo style for Venturing, and they usually stick to electroniccore / digicore and more shoegaze and post-rock stuff, to my knowledge. And apparently they're going to put a new album later this year as well, which is going to lean more into the shoegazy stuff. And they also made up a genre called Dariacore, which is just electroniccore based on the TV show Daria, which I kind of have to respect. But I don't know. I feel like this was sort of a bit too much outside of their comfort zone. I do appreciate them actually trying something new, you know? but it feels like it really gets lost in itself. Again, Jane does their best and they write well. I just wish that they maybe could take a break. I don't want to see the new album come out until next year personally, because I want them to have more time to work on it. But then again, it could absolutely blow my mind. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They're only 22, I think. They're pretty goddamn young, so kind of disgusting if you ask me. But I do like what's being done here. I just don't think it fully taps into its own potential. And I feel like Jane could have done a lot better with it than what they do manage to get away with. But I like it plenty for what it is. It just doesn't really hook me in as much as I want it to. Next, I'll do the old favourite cover from favourite song. So, favourite song I will actually give to Famous Girl from Ghost Holding by Venturing. It's probably the most memorable one and easily the most well written one on the album. And yeah, I really like the more honest sort of feel of it. And favourite album cover will go to Unrequited's A Pathway to the Moon. I just really like the spacey vibe it evokes, and it really tells of the motifs that you get to hear on the album too. And also, as for my listening list for next week, the following 6 albums I have, and as always subject to change: Architects with The Sky, the Earth and All Between, Hyrax with Faster Than Death, Myopholic with Erotica Veronica, One OK Rock with Detox, Oversize with Vital Signs, and Rebecca Black with Salvation. So, yeah, pretty good crop. I am mostly looking forward to the Architects album, but we'll see what else we get. And that'll about do it from me. I'll see you all tomorrow for the Go Home show for War of Attrition. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, yeah, that's pretty much about it. I'll see you all tomorrow for that, and as always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.